Thank you, thank you. And thank you, my early morning friends. My gosh, 7:30. HR people are pretty amazing, and I'm obviously eager to learn. So delight to be with you and loving being in San Diego. My home is in San Jose, so not too far of a journey. And I was flashing back today, remembering when I presented at, I don't know if any of you were in New Orleans in, I think it was SHRM25. Oh, it was a different world then. And I remember that we saw so many masks. So think about it. 10 years ago, if I had said the word corona, you would either have thought, one, I was offering you something to drink, or number two, you're thinking the sun. So I don't know what category you're in, it doesn't matter. But the world had so changed, 3 years ago. People were thrilled when we could finally do a conference, and I reminded people, I said, look around, you can see that people have legs. You are no longer just seeing their face on the computer. So while working virtual during COVID, it kept businesses, companies, up and running, and it prevented our unemployment from skyrocketing. It also presented a number of challenges, as working virtually does. There are benefits and there are challenges, and learning how to navigate those and helping people stay connected, feel connected in a disconnected world, be just what technology does to us is exactly what the topic is today. So when you work virtually, reality is there are work challenges. One of the major challenges that we need to overcome is that of physical separation. It presents challenges. Here are a few. It becomes harder to build positive working relationships. You can't just step over to somebody's cubicle or meet them in the hallway or at the water cooler or at the staff room. We have to be more intentional. Communication, oh my gosh, it's a lot harder. And unfortunately, communication can already be hard, but it becomes increasingly hard when we are not in dialogue and when technology is involved. There is, like it or not, there's just a sense of isolation. Your coworkers aren't right next to you. And when you feel isolated, it lowers your level of trust. It also gives us a less sense of belonging, and it's easy to feel distant and disconnected. Communication, which is already hard, it's easy for it to break down. When it breaks down, well, so do relationships. And quite often, when communication isn't within a context, and when we don't have a voice tone, it's easy to misinterpret, misconstrue. We also will sometimes distrust the intention or question it. So, in life, in daily life, in family life, in workplace life, conflicts are inevitable. All it takes to experience conflict is to have someone say something that you disagree with, and about a topic that you care passionately about. So conflict, it is inevitable. And Conflicts are natural occurrences in every human group. That was on page 1 of my mediator's manual when I was becoming a professional mediator. Yet, while conflicts are inevitable, relational combat is optional. And I will give you some strategies for navigating what I call difficult conversations, making them safe. Because when we are able to get to the root, talk about what is breaking relationships down, productivity, inclusion, belonging, when we get to the root of that, conflict can go from being destructive to constructive. Matter of fact, trust is gained not by avoiding issues of concern, but by working through those and learning how to do that and dialogue through those. Now, you are HR professionals. You are like the principal of a school. If there is a problem, it escalates. Okay, relationships break down. Guess who gets the 911 phone call? It's you. And have you ever noticed how relationships, conflict that is building, finally they bring in HR, and it's like they think you're going to bring pixie dust and make it go all the way? That sometimes is the reality. So challenges occur. When they do, HR gets the 911 call. And there are a lot of things that bring conflict. There are challenging behaviors. There are verbal words that break down relationships, unmet expectations, performance gaps. He said, she said, they said, what I want you to do, I am not going to be talking about those. I know they exist. I know you deal with them. What I'd like you to do is bring out your cell phone, and I'd like you to scan this QR code. It'll take you to a Mentimeter app. Keep it open because I'm going to have you use that a couple of times. And what I want you to do is tell me what kind of challenges are showing up at your workplace. Okay, and there we go. Oh, okay. Oh. Let's back it up. We need, okay, I need to, yeah, come on up, Dean. We have behaviors that observe the most. We want to be in the very first one. So we want Mentimeter, but we want this tab right there. And that is not the right one.
Okay. So you want to go back to the presentation?
Well,
That one?
you know what, gang? Let's see, can we get into...
So this is your PowerPoint. That's your Mentimeter.
Here, what we're in is the wrong Mentimeter slide. So how do we navigate? Tell you what, verbally share while he's tweaking that. What kind of challenges do you find that commonly happen? People come to HR. Quite often they will voice their concern and you will say, okay, have you had the conversation with this person? And they'll say, they won't listen. Tell me, shout out loud, what are some of the challenges that you find yourself facing as an HR professional? Let me have a shout out. Blame? Okay, we're moving into that. I'm going to give 3 common breakdowns. Blame, or that blame roulette game.
They're bothering me, they're in my space.
Okay.
They're, what the actions they're doing, they cough, they sneeze, they breathe, they go
Oh, they're breathing and they wish they would stop. Negativity. Oh my gosh, I've written an article. I'll tell you how to get into it. How to deal with constantly complaining coworkers. I give you actual language for that. I do monthly webinars for HR girlfriends. The one, I've done a year of them, almost 18 months of them. Guess what? The number one attended one is how to respectfully respond to complaining in the workplace. So a number one, apathy. And that's a hard one if you don't care. But what has happened on the journey for someone to get to that place? Yeah.
But they complain to HR, but they don't actually address the coworker saying, hey, I don't want you to do this. And so they just, again, Pixie does, but and don't tell them that I told you that.
Oh, right. Yeah. Go ahead.
They want you to address the problem. When they come to your office, they figure, oh, well, I told you, now you deal with it.
Yep. And what is so challenging is we tell leaders, managers are told to deal with problems and immediately deal with problems. They are not shown how. And we tell, I've had CEOs say, Lori, I expect everyone, from managers to every staff person here, when there is a problem, challenge, behavior, they are to address it. And I said, great. Tell me, what kind of framework do you provide, do you model, and what kind of training have you provided for your people to be able to do that? Yeah.
Feelings being hurt because of emails.
Emails, okay. Another article that I've written, disaster, delete that email and dialogue. There are conversations that need to be in person. No one should hear about a challenging behavior should never be addressed via email. It is dialogue. You gather the information. It's being professional. So I promise at the end to give you access to all of those articles. Every author loves an audience. And what you can do is print those out, give those to your managers and say, hey, because you sent me to SHRM, here, I'm sharing some of the tools I received from you. So I'll lead you to my website and you'll have access to all of those. And I even have one on gossip, addressing workplace gossip without getting sucked in. So, okay, with that, let's see if some of you were able to, nope, looks like we just shared the challenges. So what I'm going to do, I am going to move us into the next one. How we communicate at those times when challenging behaviors, when there are unmet expectations, when the line of respect is crossed, how we respond to those, how coworkers respond to coworkers, managers to their team members, and team members to their manager will determine either our success or lack of success. So, who am I? Why am I talking about this topic? I'm Lori Reichel-Howe, founder of Conversations in the Workplace, and my work is in the area of leadership communication, relational management, and training and development. I am a professional mediator, communication, and conflict coach, and I've already mentioned a number of my articles, all largely around how to deal with challenges within the workplace. Bottom line, in a nutshell, I equip managers, teams, all kinds of people in how to have safe conversations. Now, by that I mean transformative dialogue that uncovers hidden workplace issues, what we are not talking about, because what we are not talking about and don't feel safe talking about is really what's at the core of the problem. And until we make it safe to talk about what is destructive, we will not be able to build effective working relationships. So, what I do looks like this, and I help people having a conversation with even their supervisors, saying, I've noticed at times when you are asking for feedback and people share that they become silent after you respond. And my observation is that they are feeling attacked. Since I want you to be successful, I think looking at how you're responding when they give feedback is going to be a real determinate how effective you are and whether people are talking or silent. It could be, I train people to have a conversation with a coworker on letting them know, I think it's possible you're stuck in a negativity loop, and I'm afraid that that is going to hinder your ability to be successful here. Now, I'm telling you this because I think having each other's back is letting us know when we're doing something that could limit our success. I want you to let me know if I'm doing something, and I'm going to let you know if I think you are doing something that limits your success. Creating safety around those conversations. And those conversations, I'm going to give you a framework for having those conversations that whether you are having those screen to screen or face to face, it will be a structure that will help you navigate those conversations. Now, I also help teams talk about what's causing us to be less effective. Where are we struggling? Kind of that tune-up that helps us look at where things are breaking down, what we can change, what's contributing. Also, oftentimes it's learning how to navigate the challenges that you may be having with another team, or how to approach management to get a buy-in, really focusing on return on investment. So, understanding how to have those conversations, it's helpful first to understand what triggers conflict. And there are 3 core triggers. Number 1, unmet needs. Bottom line, at the core of every conflict, there's almost always unmet needs. Now, in this picture, we have someone needing a timeline and deadline met. Ooh, unmet need. On the other side, we have an individual who, before timelines are set and deadlines, is to have some communication and to identify the resources that are needed in order to meet that deadline. So there needs to be more of a collaboration and available resources. Number 1, unmet need. Number 2, block goals. Have you ever noticed when you are trying to finish a project and someone walks into your office or asks a question? It's like a block goal. Have you ever driven on the freeway and you're rushing to get somewhere on time and you notice how everyone is driving like an idiot? Ouch, block goal. And number 1, here it is. Here is the core. Anytime you feel disrespected or devalued, you are experiencing conflict. And here's why. Respect is like air. And once it's taken away, it's all you can think about. the entire conversation, the issue of concern, is no longer the issue of concern. What everyone's concerned about is defending dignity. And in those moments, we need a fallback. We need a communication framework. We need to be able to move into an effective way of addressing conflict, or else we move into combat. See, because when unmet needs block goals, or we feel disrespected or devalued, there is within our body a 911 alarm, and it's sent to the brain. And the kidneys secrete adrenaline into the bloodstream. The blood is sent to the brain. And what should happen is the brain absorbing that adrenaline-rich blood to do some complex reasoning. Instead, it's in 911 alarm mode. It sends the blood to the large muscles, and we do typically one of 3 typical human innate responses. 1, we freeze. Now, if one steps on a bee's nest, freezing is a really good thing to do. When a coworker is verbally attacked, called stupid, freezing needs to move to addressing behaviors that cross the line. Or else, your HR, if we freeze, or if we, number 2, we flee and avoid. Here's my family of origin. This is how I started the journey of difficult conversations, learning how to navigate. If we freeze or if we flee, behaviors are going to continue. And have you heard the quote, the worst behavior tolerated by a manager becomes a workplace norm? Even so, what we tolerate as coworkers with other coworkers, it does become a norm. And that leads to eventually a toxic culture. Now, it's human instinct to flee and avoid. I mean, I understand it. That was what my family did. And because we have this fear, if we say something, it's going to escalate the situation and make matters worse. So, but not speaking up is not a solution. Knowing how to speak up, there lies the rub. So we freeze, we flee, and you probably know the last one. It is, shout it out, of course, fight. Now, it's usually not with fists. How do we fight? Workplace fighting. Shout out some examples. Name calling, words. You idiot. That's a stupid idea.
Icing somebody out, basically ignoring them.
Oh, yeah. And cold shoulder? Yeah. Okay. How about the rolling of the eyes? Okay. It's passive aggressive. It's a reality. Withholding information, deleting an email I didn't get. This is all your fault. Okay. 3 forms of workplace fighting. If you want a resource, difficult conversations. Harvard Negotiation Project did a 10 to 15 year study. These were the 3 top behaviors, workplace fighting. Number 1, absolutes. I'm right, you're wrong. Okay, how How many organizations have imploded because of the egos of their executive team? Well, I'm right, you're wrong. Here's the problem. When people get their identity and their ideas enmeshed, and they believe their ideas have to be the idea selected, or else they lose their identity. They lose their sense of power. And at those times, we need to have people speak up and say, we have a lot of ideas, and oftentimes, the more ideas we have, the better. At this point, let's take the ideas, let's say they belong to our team, not to any individual, and then what we need to do is look at what is the most workable idea for us. And leaders can look at their ideas and find, even being able to criticize them or finding some areas of weakness. So it's what is the best decision for the team, not the individual. Getting rid of those absolutes. I'm right, you're wrong. Number 2, someone was bingo on this, blame. It's all your fault. Well, rarely is it just one person's fault. And finger pointing is not going to help us get to a solution to a problem. Sometimes COVID happens. Sometimes misunderstandings happen. And sometimes the processes that we have just aren't working and need to be adjusted. It has been said, the leader in the room, whether designated or not, is the one individual who can describe problems without laying blame. Now, instead of blame, what we do, we look at contribution. We describe problems and then look at what is contributing to this problem. And a leader will say, okay, let me look at what I'm doing. Let me look at what others are doing, or let's look at what process isn't working for us. So, ABC, absolute, blame. Next one, character attack. And this is when someone would tell someone, instead of saying, I'm frustrated that you failed to meet the deadline, you call them irresponsible. And we attack the dignity of a fellow human being. Here's the problem. Character attack is it's like punching someone in the gut. You can't unpunch someone. So, what I want you to do is look at your tendency especially when that line of respect is crossed. What is your tendency? Do you freeze? Do you flee, take fight, or other? And I'm going to cross my fingers and let's see. What challenges? So I know he can fix it, but tell you what. Oh, okay. What's your tendency? It looks like we're up. Can you see if you can navigate it? Can you?
The QR code goes back to the behavior.
To the first one?
To the behavior with the blame, absolutes, and
Let's try it again.
Oh, okay. Should be the second. Did we pick the second one?
Yeah, so this is the QR code. She's saying the QR code.
Okay, you know what? We'll be flexible. Hey, we're HR professionals. Okay, get ready. You're going to stand in a moment. Where are you? I'm going to go through the list. How many of you are freezers? Stand up. Okay. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay. Thank you. How many of you you flee or avoid? Your instinct, get me the heck out of here. Okay. This is why you're not alone. Thank you. Okay. How many of you cross that line of respect and you are ready to fight? Fight. Thank you. Oh, and anyone in the other? Okay, a couple. I had an HR professional, and she said, "Hey, Lori, I'm two. When it comes to at work or people or other things, I tend to be flee and avoid. If it's about my children." If anyone attacks my children, I'm a mama bear, and watch out. So it varies. I am from a family of flee and avoiders. True story. I have a younger sister, had severe asthma in childhood. We averaged, it was 12 times 1 year, real risky, rushing her into the hospital. My parents, both of them had a dictatorial parent. I mean, it was, they say jump and you ask how high. And so, you know what, you learn to comply. It's better than, the consequence. And they had a very hard time, There were no safe conversations. They had no framework. And they had a hard time asking someone not to smoke in the house. Well, and at that point, I realized I needed to figure out how to have difficult conversations because I saw the impact that could have. And I say that too, whatever your tendency is, we are not trapped in our, the culture that we were maybe born into. But wanting to change is not knowing how. And so learning some skills, and that is what really launched me into a journey into learning how to have difficult conversations to where I could let someone know, if my sister has asthma and the smoke can affect her and leave us rushing to the hospital. Could you please, step outside? I mean, when people knew that, they were happy to do that. But until one learns the language and learns that it's okay, that's a hard thing to do. So I say that to know it is possible, and whatever your workplace scenario is, there are ways that we can learn to navigate those conversations. So what do people need? They need the skill, which can be developed. I give people a framework that walks them through a process of being able to navigate those, making difficult conversations into safe, learning language that they use, and it's by practice. You don't learn how to ride a bike with a manual. You don't learn how to communicate with a manual. It's only going to get you so far. So we need to practice. So today, you will learn how to implement a communication framework for transforming a difficult conversation into a safe conversation. And in addition to providing you with a framework, I am going to give you a demonstration of a safe conversation using this framework. So this is a show, not tell. This is what I do in my trainings. I model it and then people practice it. Okay, so Sophie on your right is going to have a conversation with a coworker named Olivia on your left. And Sophie has felt both dismissed and interrupted by Olivia. So she's going to bring up this concern, and she has had communication coaching with me and has learned to implement this framework. We've done some practice, and so here is the framework that she is going to use. I'm going to just quickly discuss each of the components. If you wanted more detail, my session at 4 o'clock, Creating a Culture of Respect, is also going to show this, another example of this, and how to create some expectations around respect at your organization. But for right now, let me go real quickly. I will describe each of the components, then you will actually hear and see a safe conversation. Open up with positive wants, and this is what you want for that person, for the relationships, not from them. Do not, Sophie will not open this conversation, I want you to stop interrupting and dismissing me. No. What she wants, and that's likely to be, I want us to have a positive working relationship. I want us to feel respected by each other. Then, the way you open up a conversation, oh my gosh, if you open it up with positive wants, you are research, 97% chance of a positive outcome. So just the way you open up a conversation is very critically important. Then, what was the action? Identify the action. What did the person do or say that crossed the line of respect or unmet expectation? And then, what is the impact on you, on others? And you want to move into a dialogue. If the person doesn't start talking after you've opened up the conversation, then ask them a question, and we'll model this. Be ready at any time a conversation breaks down to acknowledge the person's concern or to clarify a contrast. Again, I'll model this. And all of this is in your handout. Don't worry if you can download the handout. And if you find it easier, you can email me. I will email you the handout, and I'll put in the answers. So you're in, I've got you. And you want to, at the end, get an agreement moving forward. Okay? So now, let's watch and listen and hear this conversation. Sophie opens up with positive wants, what she wants for this relationship and person.
Olivia, I want us to have a positive working relationship and to have open and honest conversations that support each other. To support us in successfully working together, I'd like to talk with you about something that happened during today's virtual meeting. Do you have a few minutes right now to chat?
Timing is important.
Yes, now's a great time to talk.
During our brainstorm session, while I was sharing my suggestion of an employee recognition program, I heard you jump in and say, "Too complicated, next idea." Hearing you say this, I felt interrupted and shut down. It came across to me like you were not interested in hearing my ideas. I'd like to hear your perspective on what happened. I'd also like us to discover a way to respectfully voice concerns with each other. Please share your thoughts.
Sophie, what you don't know is the last time we implemented a recognition program, it failed big time. Managers complained that it was too cumbersome. Instead of building a positive culture, the outcome was negativity.
Okay. Contrast.
Like you, I do not want to invest time and effort into a program that results in negativity. Instead, I want to explore ways to foster a positive culture.
I now understand your concern given negativity from a past recognition program. I believe it's possible to identify what was lacking in the earlier program and make adjustments that will result in a manageable program that has a positive outcome. May I count on you to hold off on evaluating my ideas until I've had the opportunity to describe them?
That's a fair request. Yes, no evaluating until you've had time to share your ideas.
Now, rest assured, I do not every time that you have a safe conversation will it be resolved, will you get an agreement. And oftentimes, there are going to need to be a series of conversations. And I found that oftentimes people might need to hear the concern voiced by more than one person. I mean, reality is my husband will tell me I'm doing something that is not working well, let's say. And I go, yeah. And when somebody else mentions it to me, I start to rethink and go, ooh, maybe they have a point there. So one single conversation will not transform a workplace, will not transform a relationship, but a series of them can. And when everyone is equipped and learning how to take on issues, address issues, and just move from destructive to constructive, it can be transforming. So with that, I know today is short. I'm going to move into Q&A, and I'm going to also share some additional resources. What you saw today is just a sneak peek of a complete training and trainings that I do. If this resonated with you, if this is of interest, if you want to develop skill using this framework, or you see that this would have value for your organization, connect with me. Everyone who's here, I will be glad to provide a 30-minute complimentary consultation. We could do it here, and we could also do it anytime after the conference. All you have to do, go to my website, which you're going to want to do to get those articles anyway. My website is conversationsintheworkplace.com, and there's a picture of my homepage up there. Click on that Let's Talk button, and that will take you to a place to sign up for a complimentary consultation. I'll clear 30 minutes off my calendar to converse with you and look at how do we forge a plan to do some transformative work in your organization? Or if it's just you wanting to develop your skills in this area. So what I want to do is to move to a Q&A session. And then what I will do is I will talk a little bit more about some free resources that I will provide, including the handout. You know what? Let me do this. Let me show the free resources, and then I will come back to Q&A. So we can then take care of, giving everybody what they would like to walk out with. So free resources are available on my website, conversationsintheworkplace.com, and here's what I have. This is today's handout. So if you want that, I will provide that. I will even put in the answers for you so you don't have to remember everything that was said. There's the wheel there that I promised. And I also do Mastering Difficult Conversations at Work, some lunch and learns. Oftentimes people have said, Lori, I'd love to have you do the training, but I think we need people to just get a sneak peek first. And so what I've been doing is a virtual lunch and learn. People can bring their lunch, and I do a short session on having difficult conversations, actually giving them a practice session where they actually have that conversation. So if those are helpful, I've got a page on that, which I will send you. And probably the last article, my most recent article, Navigating Public Affair Discussions in the Workplace. Oh my gosh, I did a webinar on managing policy, not politics, in the workplace, and the organization asked me to craft an article. So I will also provide that in a number of the resources. And I mentioned one of my articles dealing with constantly complaining coworkers. So if you go to my website, there is a place for free resources. If you click on that, it will ask you some questions, your name, your email, and just say you were at the SHRM. This was Safe Conversations, and then I will know which of the resources. Once I have your email, I will email you all of those. So I am glad to provide those with you. And all of my articles, there is a tab on articles, and that will lead you pretty much to all of my articles. You can feel free to print those out and either send the link to your managers or else. They are great. I've heard that the articles are great tools for their toolbox in navigating difficult conversations. So would love to share. And let's go ahead and let's go back to the Q&A, but I'll leave my website up so that people can access that. And let's do Q&A. And we have someone virtual who is going to start us off with a Q&A question.
Thank you. Any suggestions for conversations with operational managers who tend to micromanage HR processes?
Ooh, okay, how many of you can relate to that one? ROI is a return of an investment. I would start it out with, positive wants. What you want for the organization. Why are these policies there? And to protect them, to protect the organization. Then I voice it as, I'm concerned that, and I don't know the specific hesitation that they have or they're micromanaging, but I would talk about what is at risk if they don't follow the HR process. And I would say something, as HR, it's my job to protect you and to protect this organization. And I am concerned by skipping this process and not being compliant here, here's what can happen. And talk about that and say, hey, I'm here, I have your back. And that is why I am bringing this up. So when people realize the negative impact that it has on them, that quite often that will cause them to see. You just want to skip stuff. You want to skip over stuff. But what's important is for them to know the risk of that. And so point out the risk and that you are there to help them be successful and prevent that risk. Okay. And I'll bet we have some other HR people who would be great at that, answering that question too. Okay, Q&A, challenging workplace scenarios, something you'd like to bring. Oh, there we go.
All right, so let me give you some background. I work in manufacturing in a very rural community, so there's a lot of combativeness and just not well aware of how to talk to people, I guess we'll say, out in the plant. And then it kind of starts in our own department. I'm not the manager, so I'm just an individual contributor currently. But we have a lot of conflict in our own team. Do you have any sort of, I don't know, suggestions of how I can do something being an individual contributor and not a leader?
Well, the more skilled you are on the framework and speaking up, bringing awareness, opening up with positive wants. And when I hear you say this, it can come across like this, and that is going to break down working relationships. So there is something, you can do, you can influence. What is going to be hard is that since it's throughout the organization, they are going to, everybody needs that skill. What I have found for HR, it's really important to have an HR person, but I've also found that it's important to have someone from leadership who can support and have some accountability conversations. So before I do trainings, I ask the HR person to get one of the executive level managers there, and we talk and get a buy-in. And one thing that the organization is in need of is creating some clear expectations around respect. It is not enough that it says in your employee manual you are to respect each other. What does respect look like? What does respect sound like? And when I come in, the first thing I do is I give a training on how to have difficult conversations. So people are getting skilled on this. But then I do creating a culture of respect. And all employees together, and I just did this with South Placer Municipal Utility District. And these are some sewer workers, a couple of which who were spitting their Copenhagen into the empty pop bottle. But you know what? Together, all 26 of us in a circle created an expectation chart for respect. And that's communicate directly. We talked about what was meeting expectations for that, but what crosses the line, what is not meeting expectations. You need both. And when you identify what doesn't meet expectations, you also then have the language around that. So we did then language that we will use here, even voice tone and body language. And they put it together. HR management would have never done a 2-page expectations around respect, meeting expectations, not meeting. Then what we did, where do we think the respect line is going to be crossed? And then the rest of our session was practicing having those conversations. So with that, so you can get equipped and you can begin to learn and have that. To bring the entire organization on board, though, is going to be critical to do a transformation. And what I would suggest is it's return on investment. And so if HR or someone can bring some research on what breakdown of respect, what it cost organizations, I mean, it's millions, disengagement. And so when, in honesty, there are more concerns about, are we a money-making organization? Are we productive then? Are we a positive workplace culture? And so where you will have to pitch it is, what are the financial gains we have from that? So articles, you can send those out, get yourself, do you have an HR department? Okay. So, so if you want your HR department, if they want to contact me, I'll be glad to share some articles. And if management is, maybe not ready for a training, what you might do is at least get some lunch and learns, because those could be low cost. People can bring their lunch or not. But thank you for, envisioning what you would like to be. You are so welcome. Okay. 1 minute left. Okay. And, but no, I am here. I have another presentation at 4. So a matter of fact, I even have, if anyone wants to, you just want to have a one-on-one chat with me, we can certainly arrange that. And let's see, any more questions? Okay, let me know. Handouts, I'd love to share with you. Wishing you safe conversations, one conversation at a time.